Thank you. I'm Mayor Patrick Tarian. This is the RM Springfield meeting for February the 17th of 2026, starting at exactly 6 p.m. Call the meeting to order at that time, and then I'll go to land acknowledgements there. The RM of Springfield acknowledges that we are gathered on ancestral lands, territory, Treaty 1 territory, traditional territory, Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, Dene's peoples, and on the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Go to approval of the agenda. I'll get the mover and a seconder, please. Tarian and View. I would like to add something under 10.7 under new business. It would be in regards to Kati Tabin. If everybody's good with that. Let's see, no objectors are there. Anything else, Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to also add a couple of items. One is, it can be anywhere the CEO sees fit, but it's logistics for the open house. I just have a few items of clarity that I would like for that open house. And under number 6, I would like to see an unscheduled delegation. I've had a request from a constituent, a Dr. Daniel Page, and it has to do specifically regarding agenda item number 13.1.
That's the Springfield Community Recreation Centre Construction Award?
Correct.
I guess, have we got a mover for that, I guess? Councillor Kaczynski. And where would we add that? Yeah, 6.1. Do we debate that now or when we get there? Okay. Personally, I have an issue with that. This is not. We're doing this quite often. We should see what the delegation's all about. It's not that Mr. Page hasn't had time to send something forward. This isn't a time constraint. This is I would say that it's a bit of a misuse of the delegation process. This could have easily been brought to us, and we can see what the presentation is all about there. And it's part of working as a team where we could see what it is in advance and do some research if that's the case. So I think we have this argument pretty often there, and this would be about the third or fourth time that I can understand, that I recall, where you're asking for Mr. Page to come forward there. So I have an objection against that, and that's just myself. Another Councillor Fuel.
A point of order.
Yeah, I'm just calling a Councillor.
Yeah, I know, but still
okay,
a point
go
of
ahead.
order. Yeah, Mr. Mayor, the mover of the motion actually is the one who does the preamble. So I gave you the leniency to speak against it even before you even knew what I was going to talk about. So I'm not sure why you're not adhering to parliamentary procedure, but I've become to know over the last 3 years that it's all over the map on this kind of stuff. But
yeah.
So either you're going to let me speak, or you can go to Deputy Mayor, or I should say Councillor Fuel.
You first, go ahead, and then we'll go to Deputy Mayor and anybody else.
Okay, thank you. So there's a couple of reasons I'd like to hear from Dr. Page. One order is because we don't have question period. The second is because there is a space, item number 6 on the agenda, that says delegations, and it's specific to an item on the agenda. And as you know, yesterday was Louis Riel Day, and it kind of had a bit of a handicap for residents to submit any delegation requests for this particular item. You know, I found over the last year and a half, when we went to this delegation process, it's really inhibited and created a barrier for residents to submit on time, the right information, and then that the CEO or whoever has to get back to the applicant, basically the time expires. So I'm not sure why we want to be alienate the public and prohibit and or restrict the public for these kinds of issues. So I will always stand forth for residents to speak in this chamber, always. Thank you.
Anybody else? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, that was my question was, I'd like to ask specifically, Mr. Page, did you try phoning the office this morning to say that you wanted to be a delegation? I know that Monday was a holiday, but I think the process should be then call Tuesday morning or submit something Tuesday morning. I think the administration will allow that flexibility. And I guess and stating that, there's a reason why we have this structure. We also know why we don't have question period. And I've been in contact with the CAO many times to see if there's been anybody that's been applied for delegations. And I will say this publicly, I'll even help people become the delegation because it isn't that complicated. Because every time I ask the CAO, what's the problem here? Why can we not get these delegations in? Well, either A, the delegations aren't coming forward, or B, they're not putting together a small little whatever presentation, and I don't even mean presentation. I mean just 2-3 lines of what they're going to talk about would be helpful instead of nothing. So that's where I come from, because there is nothing stopping anybody from coming in via delegation. So I'd like you to answer that question. Sure. I think it's important that the public hears you.
Just a question, Mr. Page.
Yeah.
Oh, good evening. So just to answer your question, so first, Daniel Page, to answer your question, Councillor Fuel, I need to stress that Bylaw 2410 has two different mechanisms for approval of delegations. It has one for which you have alluded to. The other one is the unscheduled delegation mechanism. So I've requested councillors to consider the delegation under the unscheduled delegation mechanism that exists in your procedure bylaw. And two, to answer your other question, there is no such requirement for unscheduled delegations in Bylaw 2410. And you actually have a copy of the email I sent you this morning, which is outlining what I'm going to tell you tonight.
Okay, that was my next question. So
yep,
thank you.
No worries. Here.
Anybody else? I have comments there, and I think, as I stated there at the beginning, question period was a decision of council, and we keep on getting back to that. It's Mr. Page is a smart guy. He had more than enough time to send us the requirement there for a delegation there, because Monday was a holiday. We extended to the Tuesday just because it was on a holiday, and that was never done. There was never anything with regards to that. Mr. Page has sent out many emails there, so he's had more than enough time to figure this out. So I don't think there's a miscommunication here. The process for delegations is quite simple. If there's a difficulty there, then as Deputy Mayor said, we're more than happy to allow some people to help with that. And that's all I really have to say there. Delegations are very easy to handle. Many people have done that there, and there's never been an issue. But it has been this is another issue that where you'd like him to speak when he had more enough time to follow the process like everybody else. So if we could ready to vote there and read the resolution.
So do you want to vote separately on the unscheduled delegation or on the agenda approval?
Separately, please.
Okay, so sorry, Councillor Millier, you moved that and seconded by Councillor Kaczynski. Be it resolved that Daniel Page be added as an unscheduled delegation to the agenda.
I'll pose the question. The first question is, are those in support? That'd be Councillors Miller and Kaczynski. Second question, are those opposed? Councillors Warren, Fuel, and Tarian are so defeated. And then we'll read the agenda there.
Be it resolved that the agenda be amended as follows. Add new business Kati Tabin for 10.7 and logistics for open house 10.8.
Thank you. With that being read, if I get a show of hands first, a question of those in support. That's unanimous and so carried. Adoption of the minutes, please. A mover and a seconder. Warren and Fuel. And that's the minutes for February 3rd. Any questions, additions, modifications to the minutes? And I see none. I'll pose a question. Those in support, show of hands. That is unanimous, so carried. Then I'll go to the consent agenda, please. That'll be under items 9. If we can do 9.1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively, if everybody's in agreement with that. And I see that we are. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Warren and Terrian.
Whereas a consent agenda has been submitted consisting of 4 items, be it resolved that the said consent agenda be received as information.
Thank you. With that being read, show of hands of those in support. That is unanimous and so carried. Then we get to new business, please. 10.1, that's a recreation and maintenance reserve account transfers. A mover and a seconder for that, please. Terrian and Warren.
Be it resolved that Council of the RM of Springfield approve the expenditure of $34,268.30 from the Hazelridge Sports Complex Maintenance Reserve account.
Thank you. Any questions, Council? I see none. I'll pose a question. Those in support, the show of hands. That's unanimous, so carried. 10.2, please. Urban Forest Management Plan FCM funding opportunity. A mover and a seconder, please. Fuel and Warren.
Whereas an urban forest management plan will establish a long-term framework to improve tree asset management, climate resilience, public safety, and environmental sustainability across municipal-owned lands and urban areas. Be it resolved that Council of the RM of Springfield directs staff to apply for funding through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Green Municipal Fund under the Urban Forestry Management Program stream to support the development of a comprehensive urban forest management plan for the communities of Oakbank, Dugald, Enola, Hazelridge, and Cooks Creek. And be it further resolved that Council accepts the proposal from Green Drop at an estimated total project cost of $78,000 plus GST, subject to funding approval.
Thank you. With that being read, and any questions at all? Councillor Kaczynski.
Thank you. We have 2 options here, option 1 and option 2. Why we cannot go to option 2? Why was presented to the council?
So I think we're going for the full project scope just because there's available funding. So it makes sense to kind of get as much as we can through this funding because it's 80% through FCM and 20% through the RM.
Yes, but the cost of municipality is double too. It's 15,600 to 8,600.
Yeah, I think both options were presented at the committee of the whole, and the comments I kind of took from that was, why wouldn't we just kind of go for the full scope of the project and see how much we can get?
And
Yeah, so let's have a discussion yet, please.
go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in there on the discussion. Yeah, so I'm in agreement with this because we also talked about looking at the smaller towns of adding them in. So, you know, again, it's 80% of the dollars coming from FCM and 20% from ourselves. So it's again going to give us a good outlook of what the tree is going to be in each town. And I think that's a good sign to go ahead with. Thank you.
Anybody else? Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm always supportive to projects, especially when there's an 80-20, but my question here is twofold. One is I see in the first option A that Hazelridge and Cooks Creek are included. So they did hear that, and I'm glad that communities in my ward have been included in this. But my question is, has the 15,600 plus GST, has that been assigned or was it budgeted for? In other words, do we just pick another cherry tree to get the money off of? Like, where does the funds come from to fund projects that are unforeseen and or unanticipated?
So with the approval of this resolution, you'd be assigning that into the 2026 budget.
Councillor Kaczynski?
So if we approve that, then it's still going to cost us additional money to do the physical work, because this is going to be, so we're paying that company, Green Drop, 15,600 extra to the funds that are going to be provided by FCM. But the gentleman from our municipality said that last year we spent only $11,000 on, removing the, branches or whatever to take care of trees in our communities. So I don't know how much more money we're going to spend, how much money we have budgeted for 2026.
Yeah, so I think the $11,000 that he spoke about was doing the tree inventory just for Oak Bank. So that was boots on the ground, counting trees, putting that into our database. So that wasn't going in and actually pruning trees and that kind of work. So
how much going to cost us to prune the trees? If they count the tree, they said, okay, we have so much work to do.
Well,
If we
right
go,
now,
how much money are we going to spend then?
Yeah.
We're committing ourselves to pay this money only to the consulting company, but how much going to physically cost us? If they saying, give us the project, he said, well, you have to spend another $100,000 to clean all these trees.
I think it was 9,000. When they did the presentation to us, I think that was the block that they had was 9,000 for the pruning. Much of that we're going to be able to, or not much, but we're going to be able to use our summer students and so on for that, as long as we have somebody telling them which branches and so on. So 9,000, I guess I'll just segue that if the government or province wants to give us 80%, on our 20 cents there, a dollar, I think that would just be fantastic there. Otherwise, we'll be doing it all ourselves. So this is just a grant, and hopefully we'll get it.
Yes, I understand that, but we don't know how much we're gonna pay to, even if you hire students, or I don't think so you're gonna put students on the trees, because they have to have proper training for it. So even otherwise we probably have to hire other company to cut the trees, because they have to have special training. You cannot just put anybody start cutting, limbs on the trees.
No, I agree with that part. Councillor Warren?
Well, and I think when Green Drop was kind of talking, he was also saying that they would give the training to some of our staff so that the staff understand how the trees grow and how they should be cut and pruned. And so I think that it all kind of works together with all this amount. And that's great. Like I said at the COW meeting, that the federal FCM is doing this grant. We need this.
Thank you for that clarification. You're right. It's federal money, FCM. Any other questions at all? I see none. We can read that and then we can vote.
yeah, we just need a vote. I've read it already.
Oh yeah, okay. Those in support of the 10.2, the Urban Forest Management Plan, FCM funding opportunity, there, show of hands. That was a unanimous, so carried. Development agreement then please, 10.3, a mover and a seconder please. Warren and Fuel. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of questions, probably for our finance manager or CEO, I guess, CEO. I understand in the agreement, the RM is contributing 32% or thereabouts to the extension of the water main line to the developer, for the developer. Can any of this be recouped in this project, or is it just an infrastructure project that we're, again, it appears subsidizing new builds and new construction? I always, as you know, have a bit of a concern with that. I have no problems doing infrastructure, but the municipality should be like a private entity, and we should be looking at recouping taxpayers' precious and finite And so what's the plan to recoup the $274,000?
So that will be recouped through properties along Main Street that will eventually hook up. We know that Kin Place has been looking for that. The planning office is connected to the grocery store, which is connected to the bake shop mall. So once the water is available, all of those properties will be connecting. So we'll be recouping that through capital levies and hookup fees.
Thank you for that. So truthfully, you can say there's a schematic or a metrics. A hookup for Kin Place will be X dollars. I want to just ensure the ratepayers are protected, that that 274,000 is in fact recouped, not that it's speculative or that we carry the load for, again, developers.
Yeah, and that payment's coming out of the utility reserve, and then that reserve will be replenished with those hookup fees.
Councillor Kuczynski?
Thank you. I want to maybe explanation on point 3C. If somebody can explain this. It says here, be responsible for up to 31.8% of the final sum amount plus GST amount for the construction of the water main line. Should the final sum differ from the estimated sum, and 3.B, the final sum plus GST for the construction of the water main line shall be determined upon receipt of invoices and acceptance of the total completion, as stated in the section 2E. So if this thing gonna overrun, then we're gonna paying more money for that project?
So right now they have a quote to do that work. So once they actually get the tender, then that could be the difference of a few dollars. But basically the whole line would have been put in by the developer. We've asked them to upsize it and provide hookups so that we can possibly add extra people to that line. So yeah, that's our portion of the upgrades of that line.
Okay, thank you.
And I think we have to note as well that that the water main going up there will go right by the seniors home there. They're not going to be able to hook up because our water is at capacity. There are REUs there, so this at least it'll be there. And once our water treatment plant is up and running, then we were able to get that access to our seniors there as well. So this is an opportunity where we're saving a considerable amount of money there. It's a good move going forward. It also will eventually allow the infrastructure in the middle of this area, plus where it's at now. I think it's out by the Cannabis Essentials there, the water main now. So I think this is a good thing. Any other questions, Councillor Kuczynski?
Yes, another one. Apparently, this project, this development, have different designation of their land. When they're gonna present their development plan, then we're gonna redesignate that land because it's employment now. It's not residential.
Yeah.
To my understanding, yeah.
So multifamily is allowed in those designations, so there's no requirement to redesignate the land.
Can we see that in writing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll appreciate that. Yeah, so you can send the email to us and appreciate it. Thank you.
I see no other questions then. If we can vote on this.
I'll just read it. Be it resolved that the RM of Springfield be authorized to enter into a development agreement with 1020457 Manitoba Inc. And be it further resolved that the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign the development agreement.
Thank you. That is read. First question, those in support, show of hands. As unanimous, so carried. Then 10.4, please. AMM Spring Convention, Manitoba Good Roads Association Annual General Meeting and Awards Banquet. Mover, seconder, please. Tarian and the fuel. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. And you probably saw this coming. You probably saw this coming. So my question is, what is the registration cost for participation at this, plus we know that councillors and the mayor receive a per diem and mileage and other costs, as well as some municipalities are not as privileged as ours to send full representation. So I would be more than apt to yield my position to somebody else to report back to council to save our peers maybe hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars. But can the CEO answer what the registration cost is at this time? Please.
So registration fees are $450 per person. This one also takes place with the Manitoba Good Roads. So we actually have three winners in that competition. So it's nice to support that banquet. Those tickets are $65 each. And we do provide tickets for the winners and a night stay for them to come out to Brandon for that. So yeah, you'll have travel costs and accommodations for at least 2 evenings for each council member attending.
So you're talking several thousands of dollars, but I'm not opposed to us going. In fact, I know we need to be there, but all I would say is I would yield my position to someone else to save at least one registration.
You just don't have to go. It's the ones that want to go there. I know I've been to several of these, and we have our local people there, and they love seeing to us there. We usually have a table with them or close to. So seeing that the council is interested in that, and believe me, some of the places there that have won the awards are fantastic. And we won an award 2 years ago for our roads in the RM of Springfield. So as for per diems, yes, you and the Councillor Kaczynski and anybody else that attend these functions do get a per diem. So that's never been it's been very clear since day one that we all get per diems. Then I guess so we can vote with regards to this when we get a chance. Have it read.
Be it resolved that all of council be delegated to attend the AMM Spring Convention and Manitoba Good Roads Association AGM and Awards Banquet in Brandon, April 21st to 23rd at their discretion.
Thank you. With that being read, I pose the question. Those in support? That's Councillors Warren, Fuel, and Tarian. Those opposed? Councillors Miller and Kaczynski. So passed. We'll go to the Manitoba Planning Conference. That's item 10.5 on our agenda. A mover and a seconder, please. Fuel and Warren. Councillor Miller.
Thanks again, Mr. Mayor. Same question. What are the costs for registration, and what do we expect for benefits? In other words, I'm not opposed to, again, having representation from this council. I think it's absolutely critical and important and valuable, especially if that person engages. But I do know it is costly to ratepayers in our community. Every time we go, we've seen, maybe not here, but in some municipalities, councillors taking advantage of that. In other words, claiming everything under the sun. I can take one specific example I might go to the media with in a different municipality where I think there's an abuse of ratepayers' dollars. It's very candid, it's very explicit, and it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen in that municipality, and it shouldn't happen in ours. So I think we need to be transparent and accountable when we come back from these meetings, as the mayor has done previously, and I've done, and others have done. Report back with a written transcript or summary of what was achieved, what was done, how much the costs were, and those kinds of things. That's what you call transparent government, instead of just saying, here's the resolution and let everybody go. And then at the end of the day, it costs us thousands of dollars. We don't even know, what the benefit was. So we got to do things differently. We got to do things better. And so I asked the CEO, what's the registration cost for this?
If I can just interject, Mark, all these costs are on your shared notes. It's the screen to the right there. So it'll tell you the costs. It won't answer your next question. No, I think. So anytime you have costs, it's already in there under shared notes. But I think our CEO can answer the next question.
So at this point, we've just only received the save the date for this. We know that 2025 registration fees were $650, so we expect it to be similar to that. Um, was there more I was supposed to be answering? Sorry.
No, no, I think that
Okay.
covers it. Thank you.
Okay.
Councillor Kaczynski and then Warren.
Thank you. Who is putting on this conference?
So that's Manitoba Planning Institute, like MPIC. I'm not quite sure what it stands for, or MPI. Manitoba Planning Institute puts that on. So
Because I think we never went to conference like that. This is just first time I hear that they have this conference
no, I think people have attended in the past. Yeah.
in the past, but not this council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have all kinds of presentations on high density housing, zonings, climate change. It's a vast perspective there. It's like AMM. They'll go to different booths there to have discussions with lecturers and so on. It's very well attended and very good information that we get out of those.
So they are like associated with WMR?
No.
No.
So I think last year's was in Brandon. They sometimes alternate between Winnipeg and Brandon. So last year's conference was a lot on the changes, the Bill 4 changes, the Planning Act changes. So new legislation is presented, and obviously there's workshops for how to run a public hearing, just, all the different planning things that council's involved in. And a lot of our staff go as well.
Or how many people then will go from our community?
I think there was 4 staff that went last year.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Warren.
I was just going to say that because I was one of them that went, and then another person from the planning department came the next day. And it was good to go to just learn more of the Planning Act, and we had tabletops. So they would put a scenario in front of you, and it could be a scenario from another municipality, and you had to try to figure it out and what your solution would be. And it was really interesting. It was good. It was presentations by some of the Manitoba planning people from the province. So it was really educational for me. I got a lot out of it. And I think it's good for, like, if council didn't go, I would encourage more planning staff to go get more information, because they're the ones that have to deal with it every day.
So
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I'd also state that I also remember Minister Simard speaking to Bill 4. He spoke about it. Again, everything was in transition at that time. And I think it's important that councillors do attend these meetings, because either you're learning or you're networking with people to learn different things. And it's important to do that. Thank you.
And I think we can transition that to our next topic there as well. So it's much of what the councillors have said here. We'll get to that as well. But Councillor Kaczynski, you had a question?
Yes, I would like to ask Councillor Warren. So if you get this knowledge, like how you apply to whatever we do here in the council?
Well, when you get things in front of you, like you get applications in front of you, it's easier to understand. And then if I don't understand it, then at least when the planning department is talking planning talk, I can kind of understand it, or someone has to almost explain it to me in plain English, right? Like it's like you and I going to the planning department and going, okay, well, you need a subdivision. Well, you need this, you need this, you need this, you need this. So it's about getting the information. That's what I take away from it.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? I see none. And if we can read and vote.
Be it resolved that all of council be delegated to attend the Manitoba Planning Conference being held in Winnipeg on May 6th to 8th, 2026 at their discretion.
With that being read, first pose a question. Those in support, show of hands. It's Councillors Warren, Fuel, and Therrien. Those opposed? Councillors Miller, Kaczynski, is so passed. And flip the page. We'll go to 10.6, please. FCM conference. Mover and a seconder, please. Warren Fuel. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to make it publicly known, it costs $1,300 per person to participate at this, plus indemnities, travel, and everything else associated with. So it's, I'm going to say $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. But this one particularly, I think, is some value for the simple reason that the FCM conference is, of course, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and I've gone to one or two of these in past and have learned quite a lot of what's happening in different communities. So this one is specifically in Edmonton this year, and I know that there's some what we call study tours, and the study tours brings you to things such as density in housing. It can be environmental projects. It can be a whole host. In fact, I think they have upwards of 20 different side events that you can go for a couple hours and see what's taking place. So I think these are extremely valuable to each one of us because we can take those back and report on them to the public, but not only that, potentially apply them to the public. In terms of networking, of course, it's important. I talk to people, just as every one of us has, in municipalities from Kelowna to Halifax, I guess, or Nova Scotia. So I think there's value to these. The only concern I would have, and again, hearing councillors in the RM of McDonald, for instance, and other ones, maybe the Brokery, they can't assign all councillors to go all the time. So I think in future, what we should potentially do is, out of the 4 years that we have here, maybe we go twice or something like that, just to save some funds, but also to give other people the opportunity to participate and report back. But in this particular case, I know it's our last year or our last 8 months or so as members of this council. I think there's some advantage to participating at this particular one.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I'd also like to speak to this FCM. We also vote for our rep out there that represents us in that for FCM, and I think that's very important because, again, if we are they're making that choice and hear their speech, then at least we know what they support and what they don't support. So I think that's very important too. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no other questions, and we can do the reading vote.
Be it resolved that all of council be delegated to attend the 2026, I guess that is, Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference, June 4th to 7th in Edmonton, Alberta at their discretion.
I'll pose the first question. Those in support, show of hands. That is unanimous, so carried. We'll go to a closed meeting, please. That's item 11 there. If I can get a mover or seconder, please.
Oh, so I think we had some new business
added. Yes. Yes, 10.7. I apologize, that's actually mine. I just want to acknowledge an Oakbank or an RM Springfield resident, Kati Tabin there, who I've known since she was just a little girl there, and she's one hell of a hockey player. She's on the women's the female Olympic hockey team there, representing Oakbank and the RM of Springfield there. So I want to congratulate her on a job well done. I have to acknowledge our other accomplished players that come from the Springfield area. That's Quentin Howden and Brett Howden, who is our Stanley Cup winner. Matt Bailey, Drew Bagnall, Sven Butenschon, all of the last two there were all draft picks, and Sven was on the German Olympic team as well. So I think he's back in Germany now. But so I just wanted to add that out there. Plus Oliver Vaughn, who is a Paralympian there, that had a presentation to us 2 or 3 months ago there. So I want to congratulate everybody, especially to Kati Tabin and her family for representing herself and her country, especially. Thank you. Then if we can go to a closed meeting, please.
We just had one more new business.
Thank you for keeping me under control here. Councillor Miller?
Yeah, I know the mayor's eager to look at or watch the Olympics, and so am I. So we'll keep flowing here. So my question is logistics for the open house. I've had a number of inquiries from residents who have asked that Zoom and or Teams or even a YouTube video be transmitted live from the event, and or that recordings be allowed, personal recordings be allowed if none of those are available. Now, we know that churches, nonprofits, municipalities, and everybody else has the accessibility and the ability to do these kinds of things. And if the venue can't accommodate us to do that, then we ought to be looking for a better, and I hate to say the better venue, but one that has internet connectivity. So I would like to make a motion that the public be given the right to record at the February 19th open house.
Anybody else?
We just need a seconder, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I'm going to guess that's Councillor Kaczynski. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I don't know the process of this, but maybe we should ask the church itself if for permission of this. I don't know where they stand, so I think that would be part of the process.
So
Go ahead.
So we have been speaking with someone from the church. Zoom was never considered when we booked this location, and we had no idea that their basement wouldn't have the capacity to run a Zoom meeting. So that was new to us. It was never kind of discussed with council prior to this that we would offer Zoom or any kind of recording. Typically, we will audio record our meetings and post that. So I did commit to doing that already. But I know that their policy doesn't really allow outside videotaping that are outside their church services. So I'm not sure that the church would be in favor of that.
Go ahead, Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could the CEO please provide that documentation from OBC? I'm not aware of any church restricting, and I do go to church, so I'm not well aware. I'm not unaware that I don't believe that there are those types of restrictions. In fact, when it's a public venue, recording is permitted. And I've given council, actually, just so the public knows, I've given them documentation that the Manitoba government, whether it be the municipal board, the courts, and all those other kinds of things, do allow and encourage recordings. And so I'm not sure, again, why we want to be exclusive and alienate and or restrict the public. It's not our purview. The Charter of Rights is a federal government document that's entrenched and does allow the public to have these kinds of rights. And so if we want to go down that path, I think it's a dangerous precedent, and it's something we ought not to be putting our fingers in. Thank you.
Councillor Warren.
So this is our, what, 4th open house that we've had? We've never done anything like this before. We've never done video before. We haven't even ever posted anything on our website before. Well, I think the audio and the stuff that we worked on is fair. I don't feel that you need video. There are people that want to come and ask questions and find out what's going on in Springfield and don't want to be on somebody's video. And we're going to get into the same argument every time we have this discussion. Audio and them posting it on the website and having it on our website, like the actual, what we worked on, the WMR, the police, the rec center, the DAOs, all of that is information that will be posted on the website, and the audio will be posted on the website. So there is no need for video. You can shake your head at me, that's fine. Good, because you already snorked at me. So you've snorked and now you're shaking your head. Doesn't really make a difference. That's where I stand. She has gone above and beyond making sure that this one is better than the last one. We want more people to participate. You don't want to scare them away. That's all I have to say.
You've already spoken there, so I'll go with Councillor Kaczynski, and then I'll,
Thank you.
no, Councillor Kaczynski, yeah.
Okay, can we define it like if people have wedding in the churches, that means they cannot record the wedding party? Whatever they have in the reception they have in the basement, that's what we're gonna probably be there. People are christening, first communion, and everybody recording, everybody taking picture, everything. So why the restriction for the public meeting? It's public place. I know maybe church, it's I don't know who is running the church. I don't belong to that church, so I'm not really aware. But secondly, I want to say we have meeting in Cooks Creek, myself and Councillor Miller. Everybody could record it. We didn't put any restriction. Nobody left the meeting because they said, and everybody could speak freely, and nobody said anything to us. Everybody applause on the end of the meeting who said how wonderful meeting we have. So I don't know when Councillor yes, Warren. Yeah, why you saying that people not gonna be able to speak freely? Like what they ashamed of, and what we have to hide because somebody recorded the meeting. I don't understand this way of thinking. Like we have to put put ourselves in a cage that there is no cameras, nothing. Today we have different world, and we're supposed to be open and transparent to everybody. Thank you.
Councillor Miller, and then I'll sum it up, and then we can vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Some of the requests I've had from constituents are specific that they cannot, they're shut-ins, they're either handicapped or they just aren't able to attend. Even the WMR and other venues have live recordings, live streams. I would, if it has to come to this is why you're seeing differentiation in council. Councillor Kaczynski and myself hold separate, quote, non-sanctioned events because we open it up to the public and we get packed houses, we get standing room only, we get good speakers, and all the rest of it is because we don't jive with some members of council who want to restrict, not be transparent, not be open, and I'm totally opposed to that. I respect your point of view, but I think it's wrong, and I think you're not providing a service as an elected official to the residents of our great municipality.
Thank you. I'll, since I'm the chair, I'll summarize there what my thoughts are, and then we can do the vote. The personal recordings, or I should say, it's a church, first of all, there, so they don't have the capacity, the bandwidth, or whatever downstairs for this. So it's not an option there in the first place. This is the largest center that we have that's centralized there, and no matter what we do, there's always somebody that's going to complain. The CEO and her staff have done an incredible job in facilitating all this. So I never expected that there would always be somebody that's always going to complain about something. But that said, that's just part of doing the business. And there's nobody hiding here. There's an audio that's going to be done. The audio is going to be able to be heard by anybody, shut-ins or not. There's just a certain point we can't accommodate everybody there. This is an easily accessible church there. It's got a large parking lot, so it's ideal for us there. So we're doing everything that we can. It's just sad that there's always somebody that says that we're not doing enough when we do as good a job as that we can. There's nobody being shut out here, and we're not hiding. Absolutely, there's no hiding here. So the recording is going to be done. People are going to be able to talk freely there without having to worry about some creepy persons putting something on AI or something like that. So people want to have an environment where they're not going to be possibly on YouTube or some other social thing there. So I think we have to provide an environment there where people can talk freely and not having to worry about somebody putting a camera on them and it's going to be distorted or taken out of context there. So we have to provide that to the public. There's a privacy issue here. The privacy issue is first and foremost. There, people want to have a clean environment where they don't have to worry about people that are put something online. So that is it. And then we just haven't got the room for it. But that aside, we don't. I don't think having it audio or video will make a difference here. We're doing the best that we can, and then we can read their pleas, and then we have our vote.
Be it resolved that the public be allowed to video record the open house on February 19th.
Did you have a question there, Mayor?
Yeah, I would like to state, maybe you want on that read out resolution, I would ask for a friendly amendment that we ask for the church for permission to Zoom if we can, and if we can, great. Then we've gone one extra step, and if we can't do it ourselves, then it cannot be done, but with permission of the church. That's what I asked for amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, you're saying that you have nothing to hide and we have nothing to hide. You're hiding yourself. You're not exposed to on a council meeting to the residents. So why are you hiding yourself instead being like everybody else? It's, on a Zoom for our residents to see. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Mayor. I find it very frustrating. I appreciate Councillor Fuel's friendly amendment. However, I think what he left out of it was that I'm seeking that the public themselves have the ability to record. And this is not distinct or unusual in public settings where it's a public meeting. The ratepayers of our community have paid for this event, and yet we're restricting them, and we're coming up with innuendo and excuses about privacy and all the rest of it. There's a simple solution to that. And the simple solution is, as is done throughout Manitoba, throughout Canada, throughout other jurisdictions, is indicate that by coming into the venue, you permit or recognize that this event or venue is being recorded. So if you're not doing it on audio, why is it that all of a sudden we're prejudiced and say we can't video record? So I would ask Councillor Fuel to either amend his friendly amendment to include that the public have the ability, because broadband and Wi-Fi has the ability to be recorded through other internet providers and services. I don't know what Oakbank Baptist Church has or does not have, but I'm scared that they may not have the capacity to do it. But people like Dr. Page and others do have the capacity to record, live stream, and all the rest of it. So again, let's be open and transparent as some of us have promised. Let's be more than words on a pamphlet. Let's actually execute and be what we said we would be. And I'm trying so strongly hard to do that. I committed to the residents of our community 3.5 years ago to do it. And I'll continue to say that we need to be doing things better. Councillor Warren alluded to it. She says we can do the best we can. That's not good enough. We have the ability to do a lot better. And if you're not prepared to do it, then I'm actually very disappointed.
Thank you. And if we can read the resolution there. I'm not even sure how the wording is going to go on this, so we'll have to read it maybe a couple times.
Well, I have concerns. Again, I do have concerns when everybody's allowed to videotape it, because there's AI. We've seen where they put the prime minister in front of saying to buy certain precious metals, and then find out people have lost millions of dollars doing that. So I can't be on side with that. So I leave it as my amendment that we get permission from the church and that we are in control of the video. We're already doing audio already, so I'm good with that. Thank you.
Point of order, I would agree with the mayor. I've got to hear what this resolution is going to look like. I mean, I think it's been potentially butchered to the intent of what it was originally suggested as. So I'll let our CEO come up with some sort of version.
Well, I think I just need to clarify, we have reached out to the church. Zoom is not possible because we're in the basement. They don't have the capacity to do that. So they've tried it. They can't do it unless they put up a tower. So it's not a matter of getting permission to run Zoom. They can't do it in the basement. So it's been more verbal conversations back and forth, and I don't think they're on board with videotaping in there because they don't obviously always agree with the opinions that are being heard. And we never asked to do recording, and we never advertised it as recording. So unless you're letting people know in advance, I don't think it's appropriate to record without people knowing. I did listen to your last forum, and I think at the beginning it stated this meeting will be recorded, and if you don't like it, too bad. Well, I don't think that's appropriate either. Tell people once they're there that it's being recorded after the fact. So
Councillor Miller.
Yeah, I would challenge the CEO. Who made those comments? Because I know I wouldn't have said it's too bad.
your meeting facilitator did.
Okay, so it would be helpful if you indicated that, because it then assumes that Councillor Kaczynski or I did that, and we would have never done that to the public. But what we would say is that public recording is always allowed. So the moral of the story here is, as Councillor Kaczynski said, whether it be a baptism, a wedding, a funeral, all the rest of it, those are recorded by private citizens. I'm simply asking in this resolution that the public, not the, well, I prefer the RM to do it. You say it's not possible. I say there's no such word as impossible. I'm very explicit about that. Everything is possible. So I'm saying in my resolution, it should read something to the effect that the public is granted the authority to record freely, or something to that extent, that there aren't restrictions. Now, in terms of Councillor Fuel, he says AI, there's no way that you or I are going to stop AI. They could put you in that meeting tonight or on Thursday and make a comment that you didn't make. So whether they record it or not, you could be presumed to be doing something you didn't want to do. So I'm fearful of AI too, but it's here and it's going to stay, and it's probably going to get broader and maybe even worse. But the all due reality is Joe Public should have the ability to record, especially as there's shut-ins and other people who can't participate at this. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm just not quite sure how the video recording helps shut in. So
it's going to be audio, so I'm not sure if you're understanding that, you guys. It's all going to be audio, so even people who are shut-ins can listen to that. We're not, required to have the video, nor is it able to be done there. So that is simply a matter of fact there. So I think we're just keep on going around and around with regards to that. And I've said many times, we don't, the video recordings in the council chambers here, I have to be cautious because we are in a King's Court position now. So I'm dead set against having 40 some odd cameras up here in chambers, and this isn't a public hearing. This is simply an open house there, and for all the other reasons I've said before, I think we have to be cognizant of people's privacy. And that said, I think that's it. And did we get the wording done yet?
be it resolved that the public be allowed to video record the open house on February 19th, and that we request permission from the church to proceed with video recordings.
Okay, and I'll be the first to say, can we read it one more time?
Be it resolved that the public be allowed to video record the open house on February 19th, and that we request permission from the church to proceed with video recordings.
Okay, those in support, the first question of those in support with a show of hands. That's Councillors Miller and Kaczynski. Those opposed, Councillors Warren, Fuel, and Therrien. Okay, then I think that's it. Is it there?
Yep.
Okay, now we can go to a closed hearing or closed meeting, please. Under 11.1, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Therrien and Warren. Show of hands of those in support. That's unanimous, so carried. And we'll go to a close meeting at exactly 7 p.m.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Thank you very much. We're coming out of in camera at 7:43. Can I get a mover and a seconder to come out of the camera? Fuel and Warren, a show of hands to support the question. Unanimous, so carried. And we'll get into item 13.1, following our discussions in camera there, the Springfield Community Recreational Construction Award. Can I get a mover and a seconder for 13.1? Fuel and Warren. And then state your name, then Sean, we'll go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Sean Wilkinson, Director of Community Services. We're here to discuss the Springfield Rec Center bid process. So the tender timeline for our bid, the project was tendered on November 14th, 2025, and it closed on December 18th, 2025. We received a total of 8 submissions. The average tree submitted was roughly 23 million. Administration and LM reviewed and evaluated all tender submissions and recommended a short list to council. Administration met with council on January 30th to review bid results. Based on the recommendation, council directed administration to enter into negotiation with Bird Construction to secure improved pricing. So our original, well, could be moving back and forth. So our original budget was 20,625,000. All bids we received were unfortunately over budget. So we negotiated with Bird and we received a final cost of 21,751,788. This is for phase 1 of the boring bylaw, or this is for phase 1 of the project. Emran, do you want to discuss the financial impact? And I can jump back.
I'm Banquet here, the finance manager. In terms of how this project will be funded, we had amounts that were clearly stated on the borrowing bylaw. Funds coming from the dedication reserve. When the borrowing bylaw was passed, we had $900,000 coming from the dedication reserve. And now we've increased that to 1.1 million, so an extra $300,000 because the dedication reserve had increased. We had 500,000 from parks and the recreation facilities reserve, and the bipole reserve, 465,000. The general reserve, 1,500,000. And now because the total project cost came a little bit over what was originally stated on the bylaw, which is 20,625,000, that was the original amount. We had increased our budget because pricing came above that amount. We've increased the budget for this project to $22 million. And so the extra funds that we needed to get to that 22 million from 20,625,000, we have sourced that from the accumulated surplus reserve. And we're taking 1.1 million from that reserve to increase the budget available for this project.
It should be noted too that the overall price does include a 3% contingency, which is roughly around 700,000.
So I think we've heard some concern about overruns. So we're hoping that 3% contingency will cover anything, but we're honestly not expecting a lot of overruns with the projects.
No, so we've been obviously working with Bird and LM on this. It's considered a greenfield site. It's a new construction project, so they don't anticipate any surprises at all. But we just want to make sure that we are covered, obviously.
Okay. Any questions from council at all? Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for your presentation from staff. I support the expansion of recreation activities with this type of initiative, primarily for Oakbank and Dugald, but to include activities for people outside these urban centers. Cooks Creek Community Center thrives with a long history of local community support, dollars, volunteer efforts, contribution, and corporate support. You know that. Councillor Kaczynski and I attended the Enola Community Club AGM on February 9th and see a strong community commitment. It's inspiring to see how people step up to the plate on these kinds of initiatives. My vision for the Oakbank Springfield Armtech Center would have included a steering committee made up of a community members, especially from Oakbank Community Center and of course our other community centers and clubs. I think public consultation is critical in any initiative, certainly a mega project like this. This would be considered a mega project in any stretch of the imagination for our community. It would have included a P2 partnership, included the private sector, perhaps a YM or YWCA or others. You know, we're in an affordability crisis and I have to be cognizant of that. Yet we are borrowing millions of dollars absent of federal support. I have to be blunt. I'm very, very disappointed at our federal members of parliament who have not yielded any funds. Yet, as we have heard and explained, Dakota continues to get funding and other community centers get millions of dollars. Our members of parliament have yielded a goose egg for our community. These people are elected to represent and to advocate for our community. Where have been the federal members of parliament for our community? We've received zero funding, zero support, which ultimately puts a strain on the ratepayers, property owners of our community. Significant, because this could have been one-third partnership. And there's no reason it shouldn't be. But again, our members of parliament have come up short. I know there's new initiatives, but as you know, you can't come late to the party. In other words, you can't, you need to be shovel ready, but you can't be within a project necessarily in some of the terms of the contribution. Sometimes you can, they'll ante up for special initiatives within the project, but to be frank, it's hard to get them to buy into a project when it's completed, if and when we get there. Government-run rec centers tend to be plagued with overruns and long enduring costs. Winnipeg Enterprises Corporation got out of business just this past week. If you've noticed in the Winnipeg Free Press, Councillor Rowlands explained that the challenging state of rec centers throughout the city of Winnipeg. So my concern is that we have to make this sustainable. I know we have a business plan for this initiative, but we have to make this sustainable and not an ongoing burden for the ratepayers of our community. And I know you'll work hard to do that on an ongoing basis with various projects, rentals, and all the rest of it. Although, as I say, this would be one of the first, perhaps, centers that is government funded that can see a profit or sustainability. It's very difficult to do that. Let's make it known now, this $22 million facility is well anticipated. Should have happened as many years ago as 20. It is a huge asset and marketing edge for developers who will initiate more homes in Oakbank, Dugald, beginning, of course, in the spring. This facility does not have a pool, as we know, does not have a skating rink, does not have a hockey rink, and doesn't have a full-size soccer pitch, among other things. Now, I know we can't ask for the moon, and we can only achieve certain things, but I need to know, because I've had numerous emails and requests from residents over the last little while. What does this include, and what are some questions I'll get to in a very short period of time here? They are concerned that they're not well aware. Now, I know we can use the rationale that it's been online and we've had some feedback and all the rest of it, but I'm concerned we're not meeting the expectations of everyone. And I know you won't meet the expectations of everyone, but what we need to know is we don't want to go in blind. So we know that already we're about $1 million over the initial budgeted amount. What are the anticipated operational costs? And specifically what I mean by that is per residence or per 100,000 resident dollar assessed value of a property. Because again, if we want buy-in and we want acceptance from our community, it's hard for me to say, well, you know, we're going to throw money at this and it's going to be a bleeding giant like the city of Winnipeg has seen in too many facilities. Again, I think we need to move forward, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we can control these costs. How many new staff will be hired? These are questions specifically for you, and if you could answer that would be much appreciated. How will this affect the RM budget going forward? In other words, I'm an advocate that I believe a 2% increase in property taxes is probably the extent of what we should be doing at any time. In fact, if we can decrease it, that's even better. It shows fiscal management. It shows fiscal responsibility. It shows you're looking at every line item and that you're extracting every dollar and making it work for ratepayers as we go forward. So what is the cost to ratepayers each year over the next 20 years? I know that's a speculative thing, but if you can answer those first things, I would be very much appreciative. You know, Councillor Kaczynski said it. It was said by some that fundraising would cover all the borrowing costs. I think that was very optimistic and probably not a reality. I'm hoping that we have corporate donors, but you know, again, the affordability crisis has affected all Manitobans and all people in Springfield, some more than others. Not everybody makes $50,000 a year or more. In fact, I would go to bet that a lot of people are having a hard time to get the next meal on their plate, on the table. And we can see evidence of that with the Springfield Food Bank. So these people are still living in our community. Again, I don't want to be a barrier to recreation because I think it's thriving in our community, whether again it be a Hazel Ridge, Cooks Creek, Enola, obviously Oak Bank, and other locations, even private enterprise. But I need to know some of these answers before I can make an informed decision. And it's the cost, the impact, because I know on Thursday when we have the open house, and even after this meeting, when it hits the media and the press, people are going to ask me, Miller, what did you commit to? How much of our taxes are going to go up? And again, these aren't people who are necessarily opposed to the rec center, because I'm a firm believer in it, but there's the ability of people to finance projects like this, beyond that, the DAOs, beyond that, the new sewage treatment and infrastructure going forward. So, you know, it's going to come a point, and I've had one resident, at least one resident said they're bailing, they're selling. They can't afford taxes in our municipality anymore. And, you know, I just don't want to get to the point where, you know, everybody wants these legacy projects. Everybody wants to be seen, oh, we created this, we did that, we did everything. But at what cost? It was to the ratepayers. It was to the people who are my neighbors. It's to the people I'm going to meet at co-op. I'm going to say, Miller, you're crazy. You voted to give me more taxes? What's with you? You know what? I'm not going to vote for you again. And it's not about voting for me again, but somebody has to step up to the table and defend the people who actually can't afford these projects. And I want this project to go forward. I really, really do. But I have to be assured that it's fiscally responsible, that fundraising will meet the target of $4 million or more, and that the community will embrace this and not be a bleeding giant throughout the next 10, 20 years. And I'm confident if you can show me these numbers and things that would be very helpful to how I make a decision here tonight.
I mean, we do have a very detailed business plan. I don't have the business plan in front of me, but we do run through 5 different scenarios at a utilization of like 70% versus 40%. We are showing through running our own programs, through private rentals, through membership fees with the walking track that this can be sustainable. We don't want this to be a burden on anyone. We see this as a very positive step forward for the community. We believe this is like, we need a community hub here. We need a place where people come together, recreate, socialize. I truly believe that recreation is a right, not a privilege. We want to make recreation accessible and affordable. And again, we see this as a very positive step forward for our community. Sorry, you asked a few questions there. I'm trying to remember them as I speak here. So in that center, the community service department will be housed there. We already have 3 full-time staff members. We do have part-time staff members that already work for us. You know, they run our camp programs, they run our evening programs, our weekend programs. They will be part of that center. As well, we've budgeted for 3 equivalent full-time positions. And those can be split between programming and administrative duties. I don't know. Sorry, I'm trying to recall some of your other questions.
Yeah, and I know it's difficult to do this on the fly, but what is the anticipated operational costs for property owners? In other words, we know the 22 million, and it's been broken down per 100,000. I think our CEO can give that number. But in terms of operational costs, are you saying that it's going to be entirely sustainable, or will we be backfilling?
No, our numbers are showing that it can be sustainable. Thank you. And
or our CEO, do you know, again, I know you'd have to look in your notes for the boring. Is it something like $17 per 100,000?
So right now we calculated it at $18.36 per 100,000.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm here. Just want to add something to the borrowing. When we were looking at the borrowing back in 2023, 2024, even what we have on the borrowing bylaw, the schedule that we have there, the debenture schedule, we used the rate of 4.5% back then. We were saying, okay, looking at where interest rate was at that time, that we could get a rate of 4.5%. Today, we are at a different environment where the central bank's policy interest rate is at 2.25%. So now, back then, annual payment was 914,936 estimate, but now we're looking at 3.5% borrowing rate, and I still believe this could go down if the central bank makes further cuts to its policy rate. So now the annual payment amount has decreased to 837,398. So as interest rate goes down, annual payments will decrease on this borrowing. Not only that, as the assessment of the municipality also increases, assuming you maintain the same meal rates that we have in 2025, 9.677, the charge to the taxpayer currently at this 3.5% is like $18.36 per $100,000 assessment for residential. So if interest rates go down, that amount will decrease as well. And as assessment increases, it will also decrease as well, because you're taking this fixed annual, the annual payment is going to be a fixed amount for 20 years. And so you're taking that fixed amount, but then your denominator, which is the assessment, will be increasing. So it will be reducing that tax burden as we progress. I just wanted to state that.
Thank you, Amram. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you for this administration. I believe LM and administration has worked very hard on getting these numbers, and I realize that 20, 30 years ago would have been the right time to build a rec center, but as we know, costs keep going up, and the best time to plant a tree was yesterday, but now it's today. I believe we've crunched all the numbers and done the best that we can. They've looked very hard at overruns to make sure that everything's been covered as best as they can. And then having said that, I support this and just want to let everybody know that we'll be able to celebrate and be able to age in place in this community as a whole throughout the whole municipality. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll finish this off. Much of what Deputy Mayor Fuel has mentioned, I was going to comment. What's that? Oh, Councillor Kaczynski.
Thank you. I just want to say that strange things happening in this community. I'm not against the rec center. I'm for it. But one thing we have to understand, all these projects coming in terms of this council. We have big project water treatment plant. We're gonna have rec center now, and we're gonna have lagoon. All those projects gonna cost us maybe over $100 million. And all that $100 million, we're gonna get some grants and some money we take from the reserves to pay for these projects. But majority of this money, it's still money of our taxpayers. Everybody have to understand that. And it's not only that we're gonna borrow this money, we have to pay service that borrowing cost. Nobody even mentioned how much it's gonna cost us on a over a period of 20 years. We're gonna pay this borrowing for this rec center. How much gonna cost us the borrowing? 20 years. Anybody calculated how much gonna cost us?
In terms of interest.
So I think
Interest,
if
yeah.
you look at the borrowing bylaw, there is that debenture schedule and it lays out every payment and the interest charges and the totals over 20 years. So it's all laid out there. Your annual payment does not change. It's set for the 20 years. So as our assessment grows, those payments will lessen for individual taxpayers.
If assessment grows, but I would like to provide that number to the residents so they can have it.
So yeah, it's all part of that borrowing bylaw, debenture. So I guess Amram, you're gonna go through that?
Yes, certainly because you're borrowing, there'll be a cost, the interest that you will pay. But again, even though you will have that cost, the debenture can be arranged in a way that you can make payments within the debenture period so that you reduce that amount of interest. So that is something that can be factored into the debenture arrangement. That it's like when you have an open mortgage, you can make payments to reduce your principal amount. And when you do that, you reduce interest costs. So from the onset, from the start of it, the first few years of it, the interest cost will be there, but there's a way you can influence that to reduce it. So yes, there will be a cost on the borrowing schedule. So currently we're looking at, I said we use 3.5% as interest rate. So there's interest of about $4.56 million you're looking at. But that can be reduced if you make payments above the annual, the principal payment you're making each year.
Thank you. Thank you. I understand that. But so how much we gonna pay interest charges on the water treatment plant?
The borrowing for the water treatment plants is significantly lower, right? So the last time we looked at the numbers, we were looking at $8.8 million. And I strongly believe that the actual amount that will be borrowed, again, the project has been protracted, it's been delayed. So is the cost of the project going to be the same as what was estimated? The estimate was $29.4 million. Now that it's delayed, something that is beyond our control, we don't know what the impact will be on total cost of that project. Hopefully it stays within what was estimated. But if it increases beyond that, I still believe we're in a very good position because of the grants that the 50% cost share grant that we received from the province and the Manitoba Water Services Board. So borrowing for that project will not be significantly higher. I strongly believe that based on the numbers.
Yeah, let's hope that that's what's going to happen. So I again going to state that, you know, all this borrowing going to be on the backs of our residents, and everybody going to pay for this project. And if it's going to go forward, we all going to pay for it. We are taxpayers as much as everybody else in this community.
And
Thank you.
also, Councillor, the DAOs, because it's a utility project, we have debentures, utility debentures that have matured, and we have the last two that we have on the books. One is maturing at the end of this thing, 2026, will be off the books, and the other one will be at the end of 2029. So by the time we'll be borrowing for that DAOs projects, all the debentures that we had on utility would be out off the books. So the DAOs will not have much of an impact on ratepayers because it will just replace the previous debentures on our meal rates on the taxes that residents will pay. Is that a fair?
I know you talking with the smile on the face, but people in our rural area not smile that they have to pay for the water treatment plant. That's the whole point. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll sum it up, and then we can do the resolution there. We've been delaying this project 32 years. When I saw the last one beside the old rink that was demolished, and we were told it would be up and running a new one there, and that's been 32 years. There's been other variations, ideologies there with regards to other rec centers, anywhere from 5, 8, 12, so on million there, and delay, there's nothing going to go down. Nothing is more guaranteed than prices going up, and we see that. So the administration of doing their due diligence there, and this is affordable. We've got some large projects, as we had said, the Dows, the rec center itself, the expanded lagoon. We have the pool in Dugald. That's another project there. I think it's better suited in Dugald because it's more centralized there in any case, plus the senior housing there. Our Dallas project is excessively delayed, and that's going to cost money. But as our financial officer has stated there, we're in a very good position with regards to that. This project here, we got the contingency prepared in there for these overruns, and Bird Construction is a very good company. Dealing with them for over a year now with regards to SHHI, Dugald Estates there. So the aging in place, as Deputy Mayor had stated there, this is going to be our demographics. I haven't got the stats in front of us. In Oakbank and Dugald is relatively high, so this will allow us, our aging in place citizens there, to use that walking track and not having to go out in the winter if they choose to do so. Obviously, it's having an indoor track is excellent for our community. So like I say, we've been waiting for 32 years, and this is fiscally responsible, prudent there. Our population is asking for this, and it serves our population quite well, of the entire RM of Springfield. So with that said, if we can get the resolution, then we can read that for 13.1.
Be it resolved that Council of the RM of Springfield hereby awards the contract for the construction of Phase 1 of the Springfield Community Recreation Centre to Bird Construction in the amount of $21,751,788 plus applicable taxes.
Thank you. With that question the resolution being read, I pose the question first to those in support with a show of hands. That's Councillors Warren, Fuel, and Tarian. Those opposed? Those abstaining? Councillors Miller and Kaczynski.
No
so
public
it is
acknowledged.
so passed. If there's any further questions from the council, I see none. Then I'm prepared to adjourn the meeting there. If I can get a show of hands for adjournment. And we'll adjourn at 8:14. Thank you very much.
Recording stopped.